Our smart gut. A healthy human gut contains trillions of cells from over 1,000 different species. Each cell can communicate with neighbouring cells to provide swarm or crowd intelligence, which is part of the system that regulates our bodies, our appetite, whether we feel good or bad, and much of our immune system. It is a mechanical intelligence, excellent at solving specific issues, but it is not the conceptual intelligence of our head brain, which is a uniquely human characteristic. Our health depends on it working effectively. But to work effectively, it must have the needed spectrum of microbes. These come from the food we eat, but sadly our modern food system, while it may supply abundant energy food, does not contain the needed spectrum of microbes, which has led to the modern epidemic of chronic diseases such as overweight, diabetes, heart attacks and dementia. This comes from the way we grow our food. The natural system is the result of billions of years of evolution. Plants absorb energy from the sun, carbon dioxide from the air, and nutrients from the soil to produce sugars, which, in a natural ecosystem, they exude from their roots to feed and attract soil microbes. Plant roots are not very effective at extracting nutrients from the soil, but microbes, particularly fungi, with their fine hyphae and enzymes, are extremely effective at supplying the plants with them. This deal must be one of the greatest deals of all time. These microbes enter the plants, which we eat, providing our gut with an ongoing supply of fresh microbes. But our modern agricultural system has switched from this natural process to industrial chemical agriculture. The chemicals feed the plants. They may not directly harm the natural soil microbes, but when plants receive all the nutrients they need from chemical fertilizers, they stop exuding sugars from their roots. So the microbial population drops and there's no fresh supply of microbes to our gut. This means we need to find an alternative method to supply our gut with the spectrum of microbes it needs to function as an intelligent control system. Attempts using probiotics have the disadvantage of a narrow spectrum of microbial species and of being killed by stomach acid, so the microbes never reach our lower gut alive. The better solution is to study the natural system. After all, it has been field tested for some billion years, which is a pretty long time for a lab trial. The GBiotic technology is to breed beneficial microbes in the soil. This is easy, as microbes naturally reproduce incredibly fast, starting after 20 minutes and resulting in exponential growth. But this also applies to harmful microbes, so the challenge is to find a way to breed beneficial microbes without breeding harmful ones. This may sound impossible, but again, we can look at the lesson we can learn from natural selection. Under favourable conditions, beneficial microbes outbreed harmful ones, whereas the opposite occurs under unfavourable conditions. That was a lesson we learnt from building the Panama Canal, where the hot, wet conditions led to the mass death of workers who had evolved in dry conditions. Conditions are simple: supply of nutrients, water, and particularly air. Beneficial microbes thrive on oxygen, while the harmful microbes thrive on anaerobic conditions lacking oxygen. Generally, microbes have a very short life, typically a half-life of under a day. At the current state of the art, this means a system that people can do at home, where they can pick and eat the plants while the microbes are still alive. The system works like this. To provide the nutrients, a box is half filled with organic waste, such as grass clipping or food scraps. This is the source of food for the microbes. But, as with making cheese or sourdough bread, an initial dose of microbes is required as an inoculant. A layer of soil is placed over the organic waste layer and seeded as usual. Water is readily applied, but it can lead to a lack of oxygen in the soil, which can promote the growth of harmful microbes. Soil, saturated with water kills most plants. The soil needs to be damp enough to supply water, but not saturated. This again is solved by looking at nature's solution, specifically breathing. We make the soil breathe. We flood the base of the box, which expels all the stale air. It is not enough to simply pour water onto the soil. The water will run along the path of least resistance without expelling the stale air. To properly flood the box, we use a swivel tube that can be raised so the bottom of the box is fully flooded. Then the swivel is lowered to allow the water to escape and suck in fresh air. It is also important to ensure the soil has the correct structure. Again, nature has provided the solution in the form of soil-dwelling creatures, worms, larvae and beetles. They do more than drill holes through the soil. They distribute waxy substances so the soil aggregates and becomes porous, with plenty of channels for water, nutrients and new roots to use. Finally, we grow plants that will supply the sugars to feed the microbes. But we need a spectrum of microbial species, and each plant species exudes a specific sugar that attracts specific microbial species. Again, we look to nature. Monoculture is very rare in nature. The areas of the globe that are healthy are those where polyculture dominates, with each plant species supporting specific microbial communities in a living ecosystem. But the whole point of the exercise is that we humans will eat these plants, which means we need a good way to consume them that people will enjoy. The easiest way is to make a smoothie from the multi-species plant crops. Another way is to make them into a garnish. Growing a polyculture inevitably means that some plants will dominate. The practical solution is what we call tipping, or cut and come again eating. While the plants are still young, the tips of the leaves are cut off, leaving the bulk of the plant still growing. This naturally curtails the growth of the would-be dominant plants and means a steady supply of tips for smoothies or garnish until the plants become old. Young, fresh plants just taste so much better, and taste is a good indication of nutrient value. At some point, it will be necessary to reseed. The organic matter will be steadily consumed, so the soil level will drop, allowing another layer of organic waste to be added and covered with fresh soil for seeding. This process can continue for multiple crops, but at some point the box will become full of beautiful soil that we do not want to disturb. We then use a seed tray which fits inside the box. This can be lifted off and fresh organic waste can be added to the lower box while plants are grown in the seed tray, allowing their roots to grow into the mature rhizosphere below. This is a very convenient way of recycling food waste. This is more than economic sense. It is the way we will have a sustainable food system way into the future. The current chemical industrial method of agriculture is unsustainable. There is a finite amount of nutrients on Earth, and they will soon be exhausted. Studying how we have survived in a natural system for the last 200,000 years tells us how we will survive for another 200,000 years. We just have to do what humans are very good at doing, being intelligent and not obsessed with short-term profits. My name is Colin Austin. I have been recognised as one of Australia's leading innovators, but I believe technology should work for the benefit of the community, not just make a few people exceptionally wealthy. Join me in creating a better, more humane society at my website, gbiota.com.